Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Awakening Experience. My guest today is Kerian, who says she's actually had 5 NDEs, which are my all-time favorite videos to watch on the internet. Anybody with an NDE, please write me. But anyway, she had 5 NDEs. I think she said that her latest one was the most telling, and I guess we're going to go ahead and start with that. So you can start at whatever point is most relevant to the story.
Okay. All right. So we'll start from 5, the one that awakened me, so to speak, and then I'll touch on the other 4.
Okay.
So number 5, what happened was when I had my 3rd stroke. 3rd. So the fact that I'm even talking to you right now is because Spirit wants to speak through me to you and whoever's listening. So my 3rd stroke, and a brain hemorrhage. So it's both. It was a stroke and a brain hemorrhage. And when I was in the hospital at the time, so I went to sleep. I'm just saying I went to sleep. And while I was asleep, I thought I was in a coma, but I actually just went to sleep and didn't realize it. But when I was asleep, I experienced my 3rd near death. So what happened was, and I'm going to preface everything to say that they in the other realm, the ethereal realm, they don't speak to you by mouth like how we talk. They speak to you through your mind. So you can hear them, but you can't see them. So what happened was, when I was asleep, was I was sitting in a room, and I don't know what room, but I know I was sitting in a dark room. I was sitting in a chair, and I was looking around. So I said, I heard it in my head. I said, "Hey, Kerian, how are you?" And I was like, so I started looking around, right? And I was like, who was saying that? Because I'm trying to figure out where the voice was coming from. So I was looking around the room, and I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. It was just dark. So I was like, where? So I heard it again. So I heard they say, "You're looking for the voice?" I said, "Yeah, I'm looking for the voice." And they're like, "You're not going to see the voice." I said, "Okay," right? And so they were like, "Okay, we just want to know if you want to stay or if you want to go back." So I'm still looking, right? I'm still looking. So I'm looking around, I was like, "Where are you?" Like that. I'm saying that in my head. I'm like, "Where are you?" So I heard them laughing. I don't know who they are, but I heard a bunch of people laughing. So I was like, "Why are y'all laughing? I mean, I'm serious. Where are you?" Right? And so they were like, "Okay," once again, they were trying to compose themselves. And they were like, "Okay." They're like, "Okay, seriously, do you want to stay or do you want to go back?" So I said, "I want to go back. What do you mean?" I was like, "I want to go back." I was very indignant, which I still am. I still am indignant like that. And so I was looking around. I was like, "Of course I want to go back." I said, "I have," which is true at that time. I said, "I have 8 grandkids and I have 3 children, and they know they need me. And they may not need me the way I think that they need me, but I know they need me." And so they were like, so I heard snickering. I'm still trying to figure out, I still to this day trying to figure out where these people are at. So so I was sitting there, and I said, "No, I want to go back. I want to go back," right? And so they were like, last thing that I heard was, and I don't know who it was, I heard one voice was saying, "You sure you want to go back?" Just like that. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm sure." I was like that. I was like, "Yeah, I'm sure." And so they were like, "Okay." And when you hear the term faster than the speed of light, that's literally how they operate. They're like, it was a snap of a finger. It was like that movie Thor, I heard the snap, I heard like that. And then all of a sudden I was in like, when you go to a water park and you're in the tunnel slide, you slide out into the water.
Mhm.
So I was in this tunnel thing. And when I was in the tunnel, I was looking all around and I saw purple, pink, gold, and white in that tunnel. And I was like, wow. I was sitting there, I was floating around. I was like, wow, this is cool. I was looking all around. I was like, yeah, I like this, right? And just when I was to splash out into the water, which is supposed, splash out in the water, I just boom, I woke up. And I tried to go back to sleep because I was like, I want to see this, right? I could not go back to sleep. I just woke up and I was like, and then all of a sudden, all these nurses and doctors ran into the room. So I was like, first of all, I was trying to get my wits because I was like, okay, where am I? What's happening? What's going on, right? And so, I looked down at my hands, like I was looking at my hands and my feet, and there were needles in them. And I was like, and then one of the needles had a feeding tube at the end of it. And so normally when they feed you, because I was in ICU, normally when they feed you through a tube, it goes in through your neck. But mine, for some reason, I don't know, I'm not going to question, but it was in my arms. So, so the doctor came in and the doctor was like, hey, how you doing? Again, right? So I was like, yeah, I'm fine, right? So they were like, okay, do you mind if we just do a test just to make sure that everything's okay? So I was like, okay, sure, right? I'm laying in the bed. And they were like, okay, they held their fingers like this. And they're like, okay, grab on both of those fingers and squeeze. So I was like that, right? I just squeeze it, and then, whoa, I heard all these people snickering. And so I was like, I started looking around again, and this time I could see. I was like, why y'all laughing like that, right? And so they were like, no, you just have a firm grip. I was like, of course I have a firm grip. I had been studying martial arts for the past 2 years at that time. So I've been studying martial arts for 2 years. Of course I got a strong grip. I was nonchalant, right? And so they were like, okay, squeeze, grip the fingers. So I did that. And so then they were like, okay, wiggle your toes. I said, okay. So I wiggle my toes, right? I'm still not getting it, right? I'm just wiggle my toes. And they were like, okay, yeah, you seem to be doing good. I said, yeah, I'm fine. Right. And so then they were like, okay, might be too much information, but they were like, okay, just don't go to the bathroom by yourself. Bring a nurse and let the nurse come and help you, right? I was like, yeah, okay. I said that, right? So after they left the room, I sat up and I swung my legs over the side of the bed and I was like, okay, let me see if I can go to the bathroom, right? I didn't really have to go, but I just wanted to see if I could go, right? So I stepped down and I got up and as soon as I got up, I was like, I could not move. I couldn't move. Like I couldn't walk. I tried to take a step and I dang near fell on the floor. I was like, oh my God. So I started looking around at my feet and I was like, why aren't my legs working? Right? I was like, what's up with my legs? So I held on to stuff and my way to the bathroom. And then I got back to the bed and I got in the bed and I was like, oh, I was back in the bed. I was like, okay. So I pressed the button. I told the nurse, I was like, okay, yeah, I want to need help to go to the bathroom. And so she was like, okay, you want me to bring in a potty for you? So I was like, yeah, just bring it in because I had to go. So that was, that whole experience was alerting me to the fact that in the ethereal realm, there's no such thing as time. Time doesn't exist. What we look at as months and weeks and years, to them, it doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. It's just it's what enlightened me to live in the here and now because that's all you got. Well, you think, oh, I got another 5, I got 10, I got 50 more years to go. You don't know that. You don't know that. It's because, like I said, for us, that might be a week is to them is like 1,000 years. So
I've heard people say that before, and I actually always had it backwards, because some people will say here, maybe 5 minutes will be like 10,000 years over there. And I always thought that would be the other way around. I think
no,
like 10,000 years here would be like a split second there.
it is. So what we think, like I said, if you try to even measure the amount of time that they have, when your elders transition, it's not time. There is no time. And it's really hard to comprehend us as human beings, to comprehend existing where there's no time. You just have a hard time comprehending that, but there is no time. And like I said, and when you see angels, and that's what I'm going to touch back on the prior ones. When you see an angel, the angel is not like what you see like in the Bible or in the Quran or anything like that. It's a being, like it's a being of light. So, and it's kind of like this, like okay, so this is a flashlight, right? So when you see with a flashlight, it starts here, and then it goes down, it gets wider, as it comes to the ground. And that's what you're seeing. So that's what people think that's an angel, because they think the angel skirts is an angel, right? But it's not that. The angel is not like that. The angel is assigned to you to protect you in whatever you're going through in life. All the ups and downs, the twists and turns, right? But you just don't know that it's there, But I do, because the angels, and I don't know which angel, has been with me from maybe from the time I was, wow, I might have been like 4, since I was about 4 years old.
Do you see the angel?
Yeah. Okay. So let me tell you about that. So, I first experienced I had an angelic visit. So when I was about maybe 4 years old, I was, oh my gosh, I was swinging on a swing. It was in Jamaica. I was swinging on a swing, and like I said, it might have been a dream. No, I don't know if it was in a dream state or not. And no, I was awake. Because I didn't think anything of it. But I was swinging on the swing, and then all of a sudden, somebody was swinging next to me on the swing next to me. So I was like, "Hi, how are you?" And they were like, "Hey, how are you?" I said, "I'm fine." I said, "You want to swing with me?" And so it said, it's like, "Sure, I'll swing with you." I said, "Okay, can you push me? Because I can't push high enough." So he was like, "Okay." So he got behind me and he pushed me. I said, "Okay, push me higher. I like going high." And so he was like, "Okay." So he pushed me harder, right? And so I was on the swing, and I was like, "Yay!" I said, "My daddy pushes harder than that, right?" So my daddy's my hero, right? So my daddy pushes harder than that. So he was like, "I don't want to push you too high, because I don't want you to fall." So I said, "Okay, all right." I said, "All right." So he just pushed me, and then, pushing me, and we were playing. And so then finally I was like, "Okay," I got slower and slower. And then I stopped the swing. And then I was like, "Wow, that was fun. You're a good pusher," like that, right? And so he was like, he started laughing, and he was like, "Yeah, I am a good pusher, right?" And so I said, "Okay, well, I gotta go home now because my mommy and daddy are probably gonna looking for me, right? So he was like, okay. I said, oh. So I started looking up because I wanted to figure out who it was that was pushing me. So I started looking up, and I was like, I could not see the face. There's no face. So I was like, it looked like the sun was in my eye. I was like, golly, because it was bright, real bright like the sun. So I was like, this. And I was like, I'm looking. I was like, I cannot see his face. So I said, well, I said, I can't see your face. So can you tell me your name? Like that, right? And he was like, just call me friend. And I was like, friend? He was like, yeah, just call me friend. So I was like, okay. And I just hopped off and I was headed home. And so friend was with me. My friend has been with me my entire life. He has been with me my entire life. And that comes back to the 4 NDEs that I experienced because friend was always there for each one of them. So you know, it sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy.
Not at all. I mean, there's not a whole lot you can say to me that sounds weird. These are the kind of conversations that I have all day, every day anyway. So.
Oh my God, it's crazy. So, okay, so that brings me back to, yeah, okay, so I just keep saying, because I haven't jotted down because I was like, make sure I got this right. So the first one that I had where friends stepped in, I was 17 years old. So I was coming back from college, and I was dating someone, my ex-husband, but I was coming back from college because I was online to become a little sister, so to speak, Sigma Dub by Beta Sigma, and I was on campus, and it was like 2:00 in the morning when I was finally going home. So as I was heading home, I saw a car leave the street that I lived on, and so I saw the car. So I tooted my horn because that was my ex-husband's car. So I was like, I said, hey, what's up? So I pulled up next to him. I said, hey, I said, I was online today, so I'm just coming home. He's like, yeah, I was waiting on you. I was like, oh, I said, okay, all right, circle back around and I'll follow you. And then, we can just hang out for a little bit. Right? It's 2 in the morning, right? So we can just hang out for a little bit, right? So I'm following him. So he drives around again to go around. So he just scooted on back to my place. So he sat there on the steps of the house that I was staying at. And so he just waited for me to come on, thinking I'm gonna come soon. So I'm going back around, and there was a light, a light, and the street curved. So I'm getting up to the light. I was about to stop, but the light was green. So I was like, okay, cool. So I get ready to turn. And as soon as I turned, I saw headlights coming. Like, I was like, man, he's going really fast, right? So, and this is all in a split second. So as I was turning, all of a sudden, I saw the headlight in the distance, but then I saw it coming faster and faster. And so all of a sudden, before I even knew it, I just saw a flash, right? And it was a flash of light, and then I hit the other car. So he hit me. So we had a head-on collision, and my car, we banged and hit each other, and then my car jumped the curb and stopped in front of it and stopped. It was stopped by a tree, and the tree, the steering wheel pinned me against the seat, and then it's an older car I was driving. my radio in the dash popped out and was sitting right next to me on the seat next to me. I was like, so I started screaming. And once I figured out what happened, I started screaming to get me out of the car because smoke started coming into the car. It was the radiator, but I didn't know that. So smoke started coming into the car. So I'm looking at the windows and I'm looking at the smoke coming in and I'm screaming because I'm thinking my car's going to blow up. So, it happened to happen right across the street from a 7-Eleven that I was working at the time. I just, so it came out and the people came out and they tried to help me from the car. And now, meanwhile, my ex-husband's still sitting there like, where the hell is she? What's taking so long? So he gets back in his car and he drives out to see what happened. And as he got to the edge of the street, he saw the crash everywhere. And so he and some of the people that were in the 7-Eleven came out to help pull me out of the car. They pulled me out through the window because the car was smashed. And so I said, I can't move. I was like, I can't move. And I still have the scar on my knee because somebody called the ambulance, and the ambulance came out, and then they had the rescue people come and use the jaws of life to get me out the car. And so when they finally, long story short is when they transported me to the hospital, I was in the hospital bed. And again, I don't know if it had to have been in my sleep. And, I said, I heard, hey, Kerry. That's what they used to call me, Kerry, right? And then, hey, Kerry. And I said, I recognized the voice. And I said, friend, is that you? Yeah. I was like, friend, I don't know what I'm going to do because we just had a really bad car accident. And, I had busted ribs. I had my knee they had stitched up my knee. I had damage to my neck. I had all the stuff, right? And friend said, you're gonna be okay. You're a little banged up. You're gonna be okay. Gentle voice. And so I was like, oh, okay. All right. And they were like, okay, now go to sleep, get some rest, and you'll be okay. That was fine. So that was the first one. And so the second one was, the second one was when my oldest daughter was, she was in middle school. Yeah, she must have been no, she wasn't even in middle school. She was about 10 years old. She was 10 years old. And I usually go to the bus stop, pick her up from the bus stop and bring her home. And she got let off by the bus and was waiting. And I never came. So she was like, I guess I'll start walking home, right? So she walked home. She came in through the back door and she's like, Mom, and no answer, right? So she checked and she put a book down in her room and she came back out and she was like, okay, where is she? So she came into my room and it turned out at the time that I had an allergic reaction to Septra, which is an antibiotic, right? And so when she came in, I had 104 fever. And she was like, so she checked me and said, hey, mom, and I didn't respond. And so she kept saying, mom, I did not respond. So she learned in school that if something happens to an adult, to call 911. And so she went to the phone. At that time, they didn't have cell phones. She went to the phone and she called 911 and the paramedics came and they took me. And, what happened was I thought that if I keep taking the medication, that's going to break my fever, right? But it was making my fever worse. because I was having an allergic reaction. So at that time, my ex-husband, he was out at sea because he was in the Navy. And so I was there by myself with the kids. And when I was in the hospital, friend came again when I was in the hospital. So they had alerted my ex-husband that I had a 3% chance to live if I made it through the night. And so he was out at sea, which means he couldn't get home fast enough. You know, they had to fly him on the ship. He was somewhere overseas. They had to fly him back home. And at that time, we were in Washington State. So while that was happening, you know, I was like, friend was like, okay, take this stuff and you'll be fine. So I said, take what stuff? Like I said, I guess I was in my sleep. So it was just a teaspoon. And it was this stuff, it looked like honey. It looked like honey. It was a color of honey, but it was sparkling. It was sparkling, like sparkling honey. It's weird, right? So I said, they were like, so he was like, so he had a teaspoon. He was like, okay, take some. I said, so I asked him again, me being indignant. So I said, is that honey? And so he was like, just take it. I was like, oh, okay. So I took the teaspoon and it was thick like honey, but it wasn't sweet. It didn't have a taste. There was no taste. It was just some sweet, thick liquid like honey that had no taste and that was sparkling. So I was like, okay, so I took the teaspoon. He was like, there you go. I said, okay, thank you. I said, well, what was that? And he was like, you'll be okay by morning. I was like, okay, again, okay. So by morning, my fever cleared. I was fine. So that's weird, huh? So weird.
Neat. That's really cool.
I know. And so because of that episode, you know, my entire family, we're all the same blood type. So when my middle daughter was a baby, she started having an asthmatic attack, right? And I knew none of my children have asthma. They just don't have asthma. So I was like, what is causing this reaction? And it turns out that she had a cold and I was giving her some cough syrup and it had Bactrim in it. So I didn't know at the time what Bactrim was, but Bactrim is it's sulfur, but it's called Bactrim. So I didn't know. And so she was having a related reaction too. So I was telling the doctors, I said, she's having a reaction. And they're like, no, she has asthma. I said, no, she don't have no asthma. Because I know my children. None of my children have no asthma. So the doctor was like, okay, well, is there some medication she's taking? I said, yeah, she's been taking Bactrim. That's what it was. And at that time, I was talking to the doctors, Nicole turned blue. She turned blue. So I was like, okay, she's not breathing. She's not breathing. Get her now. And the doctors came in and worked on her to get her to breathe again. And I was like, ugh. Okay. So that's when I finally alerted everybody else in my family that don't take anything that contains Bactrim or sulfur because you're going to have an allergic reaction. So, yeah. Yep. So, yeah.
So how many experiences is that now? Is that the third one?
That was the third. That was the third one. Oh my gosh. I forgot about that. Okay, that was the chapter. Okay, so the next one happened. Oh my gosh. Okay, this one happened now when my kids were grown. I had blood poisoning. Blood poisoning. It sounds crazy, right? But at the time, I had Was it a UTI? I had some. I think it was a UTI. Yeah, it was a UTI. And so a UTI, what's a UTI? What's it called? A UTI?
That's a urinary tract infection.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah, thank you, thank you. So I had a UTI, and I thought it would go away. So I was like, okay. So I was like, so I was just, I still was taking care of myself, but it started burning, more and more every day. And I was like, first I gave it about 1 or 2 days, but the third day I was like, okay, I should not be burning like this. And so I got nervous because I was thinking, okay, I have some kind of weird STI, right? That's what I'm thinking, right? So I said, okay, first of all, I know this is too much information, but it is what it is, right? So I called my son-in-law who worked at the hospital near where I live. And I called him and I was like, hey, so-and-so. I said, for some reason I've been burning a lot. I need some help, right? So I called a friend of mine, and she literally, because I called her and I said, I can't go to the hospital right now because I don't know what's happening, but it's really weird. So she came over to my apartment and carried me on her back. Carried me on her back. And she was like, can you walk? I was like, yeah, I can't even walk. Right. And so she carried me on her back like a monkey back, right? So she carried me like that to her car, got in the car, drove to the hospital, and then Charlie met me when I came in. I didn't even say his name. But anyway, he was a transporter in the ER. He transport patients. And so when I came in, he was like, I got you, Mom. I got you, Mom. So he came down and they put me on a bed and they transported me to the ICU, right? So because what happened was it turned from my blood poisoning turned septic. So septic meaning like it's blood poisoning, okay, it's no longer a UTI. Now it's septic. So they had me in ICU again. And so I was like, okay, so that time again, like I said, friend showed up while I was sleeping that night. I said, friend, what is this? What's happening? And he was like, oh, he said, you have blood poisoning. And so I said, well, how they fix it like that, right? And he's like, you might have to have a blood transfusion, but we'll make sure that it's good blood like that. I don't know what that means. So they were like, I'll just make sure that you have good blood. So I said, okay. And so they ended up giving me a blood transfusion. They gave me 2 pints of blood. So I was like, and matter of fact, they gave me blood then, and they also gave me blood when I went through my hysterectomy. Like I said, too much information, but they also gave me blood when I had my 2 hysterectomy. They gave me 2 pints when I had the hysterectomy. And, they were like, so he's like, okay, you're gonna have good blood. So now go on back to sleep. And so I was like, okay. And so like I said, by morning, I was fine. I was fine. I'm fine. So it's crazy. So, those are the experiences that I had. So all the twists and turns that people have in life, you may not see, like it may not be revealed to you who you have that helping you go along in life. But if our Creator has a purpose for you, then these are the things that happen. So, like I said, I've been spiritually guided from the time I was a little itty bitty child until now. And when I say spiritually guided, because, what we have in our world as human beings, what we have is we have different religions, right? There's nothing wrong with the religions, but when I say revealed to me, what's been revealed to me is that you have that one source, right? And then you have all these different religions. So with all these religions, it's man-made. So when I say man-made, meaning in Christianity, it's God. In Islam, it's Allah. In Jehovah's Witness, it's Jehovah. In Buddhism, it's Buddha. And in some places they say Yahweh. In some places they have all these different names and terms for that one source. So when you think about how vast the religions of the world is, and they're all revering the one source, it's incomprehensible. It's unable to mentally picture or understand that one source of energy. And that's why it's okay to be Christian. It's okay to be Islamic. And they fight these wars over these religions. Who's right and who's wrong? Who cares? Who cares? Right. It's one source. It's one source. So whatever you want to revere, that's fine by me, because you're revering something. Then you have the ones that are agnostic. They don't even believe nothing because nothing they can't see. Okay, it's okay. You can be an agnostic. I don't care. But there is a source. There is a source that guides us through everything we go through in life.
So after your last near-death experience, is that when was it during that experience that you got a download of information that awakened you?
Yeah. That last one, when I had my third stroke. And like I said, when the universe, or when our spirit, well, I call it spirit now. I used to call it friend, but now I'm much more mature. I'm much more mature. So now I say spirit, right? When spirit has something that it needs to get out to people, it'll use whatever method that it can to enlighten other people. So whether you agree with me or not, it is what it is. So, so that's why I'm on here with you, because I just happened to catch your YouTube channel, and I was like, oh, when I say I just happened to catch it, right? When you happen to catch something, it's for a reason. Yeah. So it doesn't matter when you think it's just, oh, I just happened to, this just happened, no, it didn't just happen. It happened for a purpose. Absolutely. So when you see things, it's like, why did I see this? So I'm not only am I spiritually guided, but I'm also I'm clairaudient. So I hear things through songs, through movies, through things, things will catch my attention. I was like, oh, okay, so I get that. I mainly hear things through song. I listen to all kinds of music. So my musical taste is eclectic. So whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be, opera, it could be rhythm and blues, it could be, country music, it could be whatever. There's something in it for me when I hear it. So, so I'm much more relaxed now. I'm much more, because of all the traumas that I've had in my life. So far, I don't want to have any more. It's really enlightened me to how the universe works. And how it fashions things for you to accomplish what it has in store for you to accomplish. So
Do you still have interactions with this? Would you consider it a guardian angel, this friend?
yes,
Does this
yes.
person still like show up sometimes, or only like if you're in trouble, like if you're hurt?
Only if I'm in trouble. So
Oh,
if I'm in some kind of weird trouble or traumatic
yeah,
experience,
yeah, yeah.
it shows up. It shows up.
When
You
you
know,
mentioned
so
that when you were a little girl and you first tried to look, you said you couldn't get a good look. Did you
no,
ever, any other time, ever end up getting a good look at what this being looks
no,
like?
no, no. But I just know the voice. I know his. I I don't know what to call it. I don't. It's a male voice. So put it that way. I could tell it was a male voice.
So
So
it's like
when
a masculine energy?
yeah, yeah, and I know it. I know the voice when I hear it. And when I hear it, you know, and I've heard several things since that incident, since the third stroke. So when my aunt has come by to help me in certain things, um, she I used to call her Auntie Mommy. It's weird, I know. I used to call her Auntie Mommy in Jamaica because her children called her Mummy. So I didn't know what else to call her, but Auntie Mommy. So, but she is on on my Facebook because I do Facebook. You know, it's easy for me to do Facebook. I don't do Instagram. I mean, I check in on Instagram, but I mostly do Facebook. So I have a private group in Facebook called Curb Your Mentality, KHURB, Curb Your Mentality. And I always post things in Curb Your Mentality that's empowering, encouraging, uplifting, videos that I might see somewhere that I feel that can help other people. Everything I do in life now, not now, my whole life, everything that I do is for the help, enrichment, encouragement of other people. Because, like I said, what I do for a living, I'm the CEO of of my company, my own company.
Mhm.
So my own company fashions itself. I lead them to help those who might need encouragement in their life. And like I said, when I say I'm the CEO, like I have actually helped million, multi-million, and multi-billion. And most people don't even know what that looks like.
Yeah.
But I know what it looks like because, like I said, as a child, I mean, I was putting together 1,200 piece puzzles when I was 5. So my whole life has been around numbers because when I was young, I would say, I speak, once you speak it out, they hear you and they come to your aid. So when I was asleep, when I was younger, I would see things in numbers just floating around everywhere, right? And I said, oh, so when I first started working, I was like, God, when I say God, I said, God, please help me make sense of these numbers I see in my sleep. I don't know how to make sense. I don't know how to do the puzzle, right? So what I found was finally, when I first started working on with the big boys, that I was able to put it all together when I saw financial statements. So the financial statements took all the numbers and organized it to where I could see. And I was like, oh God, I was like, wow. So I never, I was handling, like I said, millions, like multi-billions.
Mhm.
So, and I'm not gonna say it out loud. Okay, I know you guys can hear me when I say that is because I worked with the DOD, right? I worked with the DOT, which is Department of Treasury. I worked with in the media, meaning I worked with Technicolor, which is the first colorized film with The Wizard of Oz. So I worked with Technicolor. I worked with that was okay, so that was the up, okay, so that was wholesale. Okay, then they were the ones that would distribute to the movie theaters. Then I worked with retail, which is I'm trying to figure out how old you are because you may not have been around then.
I'm 34.
Yeah, okay,
I'm kind of a youngin'.
You could be one of my children.
Yeah.
So back in the day, I'll put it that way. Back in the day, Blockbuster, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Okay, so I handled the Southwest region of Blockbuster. They had 7 regions. So I had 4 states. So I had California, Nevada, Arizona, and Hawaii. So I was handling their money in the Southwest part of the United States, but I was the reason why certain stores opened in certain areas in those 4 states, because I was able to see, the demographics of the area. And I was like, I was not a follower. I never was. I probably will never be a follower. I'm just not a follower. I lead, I don't follow,
Mm-hmm.
And when when they said to do certain things, open up, 100 stores, in this area. I was like, 100 stores? Like 100? I was like, I don't know about that at first, right? And so I would get the real estate site selection packs come across my desk, and I'd be opening it up and I'm looking at it, and it had everything from the demographics, it had everything that you need, the average income, it had everything, white people live in, black people, Asian, it had everything you could look for when you want to open up a new store, right? And so, so I would go to this board meetings with them. I would go to the board meetings and I'm like, I said, are you guys seeing what I'm seeing, right? So I would show them side by side. I was like, this side would be a pie chart, and this side will be a pie chart. And on this side, you have a pie chart, where sliver was like a little tiny sliver, right? But then on the other side, the sliver got bigger. So like, so I was like, okay, are you guys seeing what I'm saying? So do you see that the sliver that you're looking at got bigger? It's getting bigger. So at the time, I was like, and I can say this, at the time, what I saw was, it was called video on demand, right? Video on demand was getting bigger and bigger. Blockbuster was always the movie place, right? I said people were enjoying downloading what little selection they had. They were enjoying downloading from the comfort of their couch, right? They don't want to go to the store and pay late fees and get there, and then the videos were gone that they wanted, or the games were gone. So my thing was, okay, if I'm going to open up a new store, I want to relieve a high revenue producing store. So if this store is like high in revenue, they don't have enough people to help customers. So if I open up a new store 3 miles away, I'm taking from that high revenue and I'm balancing it out. That's the lever way, right? So I'm balancing it out. So now I'm drawing the customers to a new store, and now both of them, are leveled out. So they're not opening in the negative like they were told. Just open up a whole, 100 stores, So I was like, okay, I may not have opened 100 stores, but every one of my GD stores are in the black. So they were like, how do you do that? I said, I don't know. It's true, I don't know. But I was like, it may not be 100. I may have only opened 70 stores. Every one of my damn stores are in the negative. In the black, all of them. So they were like, okay, can you come to corporate and handle the whole western half of the United States? Okay, so that's 1,500 stores, and I currently was handling 575 stores plus, right? 1,500 stores. You want me to sleep? Because I won't sleep. I won't sleep. When you have the financial integrity of 1,500 stores, no, I can't do it. I like going home and go and eat dinner with my family every night. I'm not trying to please you. I'm trying to please me. So,
Right.
yeah. So
well, I'm sorry.
So yeah. So and then I went from the retail and I went right down to the last stop, which is cable. So Time Warner Cable at the time, which is now Spectrum Cable. So yeah. So I know business. I know business. I know money. That's how Curb Solutions. When I stepped out finally on my own, we made it at the 5-year mark. Thank God, we finally made it to the 5-year mark. So now we still got more to go. So we're toddlers, So, but as I lead them, I just keep doing what I do until we get to a point to where they don't need me anymore.
Well, I greatly appreciate you sharing your experiences. Before I wrap it up, is there maybe a positive or inspirational message you would want to give to the audience?
Yes. Basically, and I got it from watching Tuck Everlasting again last night. It was, what is it? Because I jotted it down. Let me see. Oh my God. Okay. Okay. So it's up. Don't be afraid of death. Be afraid of the unlived life.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, Kerian, I greatly appreciate you. If anything else ever unfolds, let me know. If friend ever shows up, and maybe we can have you back on again. But until then, thank you so much, and you have a good day. Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it. Take care.
All right. Thank you.